Everybody get in front of me, fast.
Oh, right.
That's marvelous. Your back would be much more enhancing.
Especially with black velvet eats light.
Fabrics and bindings that you haven't made?
No.
My son used to take me in there once in a while. Still going, Fort Union. I used to love to go in there. Of course, he's married now, so I don't get taken out.
That's no excuse.
I don't think so either. I've done it myself.
Now that's a face I remember.
Oh my God, stop her. I thought about you not long ago, and we were talking to somebody about it. Oh.
Yeah, that's a face I haven't seen in years and years.
No, but that's one I remember.
Just dropped in from California.
And boy, are his arms exhausted.
Came for Christmas.
Oh, came for you.
Oh, isn't it?
Don't you know that we've planned this for months?
I just found out.
You know, I can tell you the truth that my mother's down. My mother
we know anything.
she's down. She can't figure out why am I coming home Christmas time with such cold weather.
I know.
And
You gotta be crazy.
if I told her the truth, I was coming home to see you and not see her. She'd have a fit.
I know. She probably. I know what to do. You get sparked.
She'd make me a bloody stump.
You get a blank stick. Yeah, right. I just did a production at St. Joe's with Miss Dirkdale lessons. In Charlie Brown, cutting of in Charlie Brown. I was telling Ed or somebody that I used to work the kids around productions, and this time you work the production around the kids. If you threaten to bust out, I'd be the one. It was different, but we did it.
Well, I have to tell you, I was in LA. I meet in LA a lot. People who are connected. Blow by blow, week by week, I get to hear the day the earthquake we had.
So you're living here now?
This is good weather.
My parents are still here. They still live here.
Oh man, I just went blind.
Well, the trick is not to look to straight in the
That's how it is.
You know me, I never learned that.
And the voice has not changed.
Hi, Greg, how are you? Don't I
live
get
in-
a kiss? Romy!
Scott, while you're down on your knees, just propose.
Fine, how are you?
Oh, super.
I'm just, up on the ceiling right now.
You look terrific.
Oh, well,
How you feeling?
better.
Good.
How are you feeling?
Super.
I thought about you not long ago, too, and I was going to look in the phone book to see if you were listed and where you were.
We're running great.
What are you doing?
Teaching and working with handicapped and running a big music store.
Oh, no kidding. In the Rendezvous, right around Titus?
No, right around Empire.
We need to see you someplace else, though.
Oh, gee, that's great.
You'll have a ball. We're going to have a ball.
Oh, yeah.
We need to see
I thought
you someplace else.
Wow. What I lost
6-inch heels.
Well, I don't know about millions, but...
How are you doing? I've been telling everybody, I've been thinking about everybody of recent months,
Even this one here?
Oh, this one here. Oh.
Oh, it was so nice lying to you last week.
Yeah. Do we still have a date?
Yeah, we do. We do.
Boston. So she can't be here. But she's here in spirit.
Oh my God, he was staring and figure out who it was.
I didn't know. I mean, and I couldn't read the label because the can burned it.
Right. That's the only one with a hand.
And then have a big snack. Why not going to dinner?
Dripping
week,
Yeah, no,
And I'm all right, except for that week.
How'd you do?
Chuck!
Hi.
Boy, have I been thinking about you lately.
Oh, yeah?
Wow. Yeah, because Kathy told me that you work at...
This guy was the same.
Yeah.
No,
We're together here.
Oh.
Same job, basically, yeah.
Tell him I miss him.
Oh, I will.
Give him my love and tell him to give it to me.
This is my wife, Janet.
Hi, nice to meet you.
How are you?
Nice to meet you too.
I'm glad she's here. And I've been hearing about...
Well, right.
Sit out, right,
5 to
acceptable?
Expansion of a...
Of course, they probably
to be able to say they had
like anyone else has.
Somebody who's better than I have.
Well, a lot of us, oh, dear, the bright lights. A lot of us do that at Christmas.
Who's this?
Dale, I can't believe you say oh, it's so good to see you.
Real good. This is my wife Gail. All right.
This is one of our series
Think about drinking, don't you? Is that all?
Just recently.
I'm falling apart. Oh, yeah. Inside, I'm not falling apart.
I'm a fabric merchant. Well, more or less. For a while.
I thought of him the other day. He's a white guy. I wanted him the other day so badly. And I thought, if I could will Rick Mayhusen in this room now, I'd use him.
Oh, what can I say?
Well, that's too bad.
Excitement of the evening.
Well, we survived it.
I'm sure.
Good, how you doing?
It wasn't good. You have that professional touch.
This is my wife, Gail.
Looks like we better find name tag.
Yes. Overwhelmed.
Who cares?
Been a while.
This is my wife, Lisa.
Hi, how are you, Lisa? Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you.
Musical director.
Yeah, boy, we had something. Yeah, right.
You know, I have heard, right?
We missed you. We went to the screening, and I think we
Very, very glad.
She talk him to death.
Actually, I looked at Liz.
Robert Matthews says to send his stuff.
I said, these are all the
Not
wizards.
make it tonight because it's a world business. Paul Dodd. Paul Dodd. The kid who never was very good at the chorus line. Irene's we tried anyway. So they say to say,
Yeah, there's something.
And I'll sing a song or something if you want to.
They're very much into it.
tent days, we were all pulling our hair out.
No, that's the scholar. When you get away from it,
No, and I'm in the back row too, touching hands. But Bill's up there clearing it through. Yeah. Oh, I ran into two Syracuse in his Rockport.
Julie?
Yeah. I was sitting in my car watching a wedding across the road, and was sitting in the car, and it was in the Abbott parking lot, and I saw this young woman coming along on a bicycle, but I was watching the wedding, and I just happened to look like this, and he looked at me, wheeled around, came back, she has a little girl and a baby boy, and
Hi, Sarah. Nice to meet you. Carol was one of the original gang.
Oh, yeah. And I needed somebody with lights.
Oh, well, you don't look a bit different. You look great, man.
Well, you guys are the same, too. I'm surprised.
Look at me, you said your nose was wrong.
No? I always thought you were no.
That's sweet.
I'm just wrong. You haven't changed.
I saw that. See, they live not very far from us. Yeah, right. And I've seen that in their yard, right?
Well, it's not Monopoly now.
Oh, that's great. That's great. How's your dad doing? Didn't they have a heart problem at one time? He didn't. I got him mixed up with someone else. That's good. Now they're doing. Well, maybe that's what we're doing. Yeah, I know you're very. That's all right. I'll let him go see Chuck. Yeah,
Called up.
Yeah. Got it all figured out.
My oldest is 15.
Thanks for being in my new one.
Sometimes you have to drive with
Okay. Yeah, I guess so.
I don't want to cry either. Remember the attacks in the bathroom?
I remember the notes in the locker, the attacks in the bathroom.
Attacks in the bathroom. Yeah, for sure. Fun years, boy.
The city of Nooo.
Wait, we're not talking about.
He's stay home. Yeah, he would love it, you know. He'd be the first one to get in on things, and he's very outgoing and very friendly. Well, you had a house full. I was here, yeah. Oh, yeah. Still there. It's, you know, it's tough, and I really didn't know if I was going to make it or not. And they, you know, just, I'll be there, tell everybody.
I've been really disappointed because Scott told me you were planning on being here.
I was shocked when he said you were in oh, great, it's about time.
This was what really got me motivated to get back to see.
Oh, sure. Well, plus we were there. I've always said that. Yeah, and when I worked there 3 years,
She was a hell of a.
She was the hell. Well, I don't know. Debbie and I used to call her.
Yeah, I know. And you and Debbie did a pretty good job on it too.
Yeah, for a while. And either one of them. My youngest brother just turned 7. She wrote that in
First of all, I'd never been to Minnesota. I'd never been to and I can see
No, I didn't see it. But you were in the carousel. Speaking of that, this is hand delivery to your
It's funny because Catherine Hellman calls Charlie and I the baby moguls. That's what you call them.
Come on, let's sit down.
Oh, all right. Judy, come sit.
You guys, come on.
Thank you, thank you. I'm not really on the program today, but I wanted to be because of Ruth. Because as I was thinking about coming here today, I realized that the reason that she's always stayed in my heart for so many years has been because many times in my life I find a need to act. And
Tell us more.
and if it hadn't been for those early days of bloody stumps and threats and wonderful guidance, I would have lost a lot. But I guess the thing that meant the most to me was as a new kid who really didn't know what the hell I was doing at R.L. Thomas High School, through this woman's support and love and the group of people that she brought around her, I felt a place that I belonged. And I think that that was the most important thing for me in high school, was to feel like someplace I belonged. And because of this woman, I had the high point and the crowning point, I guess, of my whole high school career. And for that, I would hope to believe that all of us are very grateful for that. And as a result,
He also redecorates rooms beautifully.
yeah, I wanted to give this to Ruth. It's something that I've held on to since March 28th of 1930? No. March 28th, 1968, and I guess it's one of my prized possessions, but I guess it also symbolizes...
This?
Yes, but it also symbolizes something that I would want to pass on to you, and just say thank you,
Can't
and
wait.
I guess all of us say thank you.
Oh. The only thing is when he does decorate your room, he stays all night.
That'll be when we get together in another 20 years.
We'll tell you more later.
Isn't that pretty?
Yes. Oh. Once upon a mattress.
Oh yeah, right. I was in
I remember those. Anybody remember it? Jenny Hilda.
I wasn't in it, but I saw it.
I saw it.
Did you? Yeah. Oh, good. Anybody remember the Rainmaker?
Yeah, that. Yeah.
What plays are here tonight? Carousel.
Are you kidding? Crucible?
Guys and dolls.
George M. Guys and Dolls.
George M.
Crucible?
Either Crucible.
Really?
Yeah. And JD and Ed Austin. Ed Austin and Debbie Smith were responsible for my getting an A+ in a graduate course. Yay! Oh, Tim. You sure you want to give this away?
What is it?
Oh. Dauntless the Drab's Crown.
Oh my God.
Oh,
Isn't
I'll treasure that. Oh. I'll put it
Unless
in the
I can sing the whole
Last lack.
Many more. So,
Uh-oh. What do you want?
just a little something I prepared here.
5 minutes, too. Boy, you're pretty good there.
I did this in the middle of, my screaming
Your
nephews
dessert.
and nieces and opening Christmas gifts
Oh,
and everything.
Frank, you poor dear.
I'm going to really give it a good go, sweetheart.
So bear with me.
Well, you're good at ad-libbing.
This is the dress. We'll fix it up later. Anyway, when Debbie asked me to say something on behalf of all of us tonight, I was all at once flattered and concerned as to how I might do this. And the truth is, I can't really speak for any of you. So I'm going to try speaking for myself and hope that maybe a little bit of what I say has to do with all of the rest of us, all the rest of you. This is tough. Was that Austin?
No.
So, from a writer's point of view, the first day of high school was like the first time sitting down to face a blank page. It's terrifying and exhilarating as you almost blindly try to find your way of communicating, expressing yourself. And there was a major molding of character that began for me with my walking through Ruth's door into her class. That very first time. And I think you'd have to agree because you've told me this. Here I was, this awkward, strange, funny little person. I don't like it when she tells me this.
I didn't tell you
this. Seeking acceptance, a challenge to become what I didn't quite know. But more than anything else, I wanted an opportunity to show what I could do. Ruth Bair gave me my first break. And I think she did that for all of us. I think it's the one that matters the most. She helped me plant my own special seed within myself. She's nurtured it since with heartfelt support, guidance, friendship, the kind of love that comes from a selflessness within her that I've never quite found in anyone else. And I have to make an assumption at this point, that being that maybe each and every one of us is here tonight because we all carry our own individual seed as well, that Ruth helped us plant within ourselves. You know what? It may just be the best part of us all. Wow. This is what I think that seed of mine has in it, and we can all compare notes. Three things primarily: honesty, even when I've been most terrified of the consequences. I've thought of how Ruth pressed for this, insisted that the feeling when interpreting a character was the key to making others feel. And I've learned that there aren't any tricks in getting around this one. You are never going to be able to fool your audience into feeling something you don't. So I thank you for that. Courage. Even after the disaster of the final dress.
When they lose their pants.
We all managed to go out and face the music. Face Mr. Music, as the case may be. And quite often to find an opening night that we had triumphed in spite of our fears. Our greatest triumph being that we didn't give up.
Very good. We're all so great.
And that leads me to the third major part of that seed, and that's tenacity. I have never known another human being to have more than you. Even with an administration constantly throwing obstacles to Donald.
And John Boniface.
You refuse to be deterred by the kind of bureaucratic bullshit that does nothing to elevate and personalize the human condition, everything to pound it into submission and sameness. You just kept going. Your vision clear. You never gave up. These three things have really helped me when the chips were down. And I want to thank you for showing me their meaning. I want to thank you for being so important to all of us. I want to thank you for the mothering when we demanded it, the discipline when we hated it, the nurturing, the love, all the memories. God bless you. We all love you.
Amen.
And we all chipped in to buy you this present.
You guys never ever did anything in a small way. It was always over the top. Thank you for all memories. And Frank, when he left, gave me an award for the teacher who has done most, not 4, but 2 at school. Remember that? Being helped by people like Rick Mayhusen, Carl Bertner, the whole crowd.
If John Boniface is not here, started it.
Right. How do I get into it?
Ask John.
I'm sure he's got a key. Where's John and the keys when you need them?
It gives a small token of our love and thanks to you for the year of guidance and support. Your influence will be with all of us, all of our lives. Thank you. Oh, thank you so much for all you've done for me. And I hope that the influence that's with you is the good part. But I think from looking at you and knowing you and seeing you again, it had been. Because you're all so special. And I've been thinking so much of you lately, and I knew that I would see a couple of you, but I didn't know where. Debbie and Kathy. Well, what is this?
It's a surprise.
It's a surprise, that's what it is.
Another dauntless crown. Oh my God. I think that there's probably a sampling of the props from every show. Right?
Somebody try to open it. It's written on the outside, but you don't want to open it.
You don't want to, it probably,
Yes,
it is what it says.
Oh,
It's a video cassette recorder.
oh my gosh.
Yes.
How can I say?
To watch this evening.
You'll be able to watch this.
And you will be able to watch on your own
That's what it's doing right now.
Oh,
tonight's
thank
party.
you. How can I say thank you big enough? I just can't.
You just better try, because you're going to be watching.
I-
I'd be sorry if you don't.
You're on, Ruth.
I just feel too humble about with all of you here. I just think it's overwhelming. It's the best thing that's ever happened. Bill and I were saying that when we worked together, it was the high point of our careers, and it really was. And all of you, of course, contributed. And I think of all of you so many times. So if you get a warm feeling in your heart, you'll know that it's Mrs. Bair thinking of you. And not thinking bloody stumps, but beautiful stumps. And I can't thank you enough.
Thank you.
For the memories.
Thank you.
I could remind you of a lot of cute little things that, you know, people did, but I won't. I'll see you later and talk to you about it.
Yes.
Like Dale losing his pants and dress.
Never forget that one, Dave.
Frank LaRoche going out and dressing for the 4th scene and leaving Leslie Freeman and Marty Marshfield on to ad-lib their way to one whole scene. You remember that? And on and on. So but I've loved every minute of it. And thank you for being so special.
Thank you. Thank you.
And thank you for my A+.
My pleasure.
Order of business tonight. In honor of Ruth, Marty has prepared a slideshow that will in some ways depict Ruth, this is your life.
We do not know her life before she came to Webster.
Yes, we do.
So with your permission and kind indulgence, I would like to present the Ruth Bair story. A long, long time ago, Ruth's parents, Sophie and Yakov Golovkin, immigrated to America from a little town in Russia. Upon their arrival, Yakov heard about all the opportunities out west. So he and Sophie joined a wagon train and headed out across America to find fame and fortune. They settled in Minnesota, where Ruth's father was soon to become a millionaire by designing the world's easiest jigsaw puzzle. It only had one piece. Here's a picture of the family enjoying themselves at one of the many Golovkin reunions. Next we see Ruth and her classmates. That's Laura Engels Wilder, their teacher.
Carol Bundy and Dolores Shakespeare.
All her life, Ruth knew she wanted to be involved in theater. She and her playmates were always converting the barn out back and putting on shows they called Barnyard Folly. But Ruth's parents had other plans for their daughter. You can imagine their reaction when Ruth announced that she was going to be an actress on Broadway. She eventually convinced them that she had to follow her dream, so they bought her a car and she was on her way. Broadway years. Yes, that's Ruth, third from the right. And here she is again in another chorus. Then Florence Ziegfeld spotted her and gave her her big break. That's her down in the left-hand corner. Now she was out of the chorus line and began to study her craft seriously. She worked opposite many of Broadway's top leaders, and she hung out with many of the first families of Broadway. This next shot is her in a publicity still from her Broadway show, That Shady Dame from Seville. But she began to feel typecast and look for parts that would better showcase her real talent.
God, I wish.
Then, a week before she was to appear in Mary Queen of Scots, tragedy struck. While vacationing in the Alps with Gertrude Lawrence and Fanny Bryce, she was caught in an avalanche and nearly lost her life. Broadway would never be the same. Ruth's understudy Helen Hayes went on for her in Mary Queen of Scots. And the rest is Broadway history. But what you don't know is that while she was recuperating, there were two happy results. Sadly, she did break almost every bone in her body. But now theater people had something better to say than good luck. The news of her accident spread, and everyone would say, just break a leg, not every bone in your body. Which eventually became shortened to break a leg. The second happy result is that she fell in love with a pre-med student who rescued her and set all her bones. She loved bedside manner. As a matter of fact, he swept her off her feet. Their romance was a bed of roses. Of course, she was still in traction. A whirlwind courtship followed, and they were married on the plane headed back to the States. Ruth decided to try silent films. That's her second from the left. She worked with such comedy greats as Charlie Chaplin, Groucho Marx, and W.C. Fields. But soon she was beginning to feel typecast again, this time as a comedian. So she focused her sights on something altogether different. Behold, Cleopatra. She appeared in pirate films. She tried her hand as a Southern belle. She worked with Bogart, Taylor, Grant, and Rudy. Edward G. Robinson was her next leading man. Then Glenn Ford. But again, she became bored with the role of ingenue and decided to make some career changes. This time, she would try, unsuccessfully, the role of a character actress. But the American public wouldn't hear of it. Ruth made a couple of other bad career decisions. She became Greta Garbo's stunt double and worked briefly as this person's dialogue coach. But then Universal announced, Ruth is back. Yes, Ruth is back and Gable has got her. She wouldn't let the American audiences down. Her role in All the King's Men won her an Oscar nomination for her Best Supporting Actress role, but by now her acting career had started to take its toll on her home life. She was working harder than ever now. She was dancing with Fred and Marilyn. She was eating with Jimmy and praying with Bing. But Anna and Luella were merciless. The rumor mill started to pour out stories of her stormy marriage. So Ruth decided to do the only thing to save it. She would leave Hollywood, become an English teacher, and move to Webster. Here she is announcing her plans to her best friend. So the Bear settled in Webster. And her husband built her a beautiful house near Lake Ontario.
I remember that house. Good party.
Her very first production was that unforgettable hit, well, her second production was I Remember Mama. Unfortunately, no one remembered what time the show started, so no one ever saw it. But Ruth was always surprised by the Webster audiences and found them a bit provincial, especially when she attempted an all-nude version of The Mad Woman of Chaillot and a psychedelic 60s version of Shakespeare called What's Happened in Hamlet. Over the years, she has directed 27 versions of Carnival, 14 productions of Fantastics, and only one production of 10 Nights in a Barroom. It seems that's all Webster was ready for. But with declining enrollments and hard times hitting the school budget, Ruth decided to combine her fall drama with her spring musical. And we had such inventive hits as Cat on a Hot Tin Carousel, The Iceman Cometh to South Pacific, West Side Crucible, The Three Faces of Evita, Annie, Get on Your Toes, Who's Afraid of Sweet Charity, A Midsummer Night's Dream Girls, A Streetcar Named Bye Bye Birdie, and Uncle Tom's Cabaret. Eventually, Mrs. Bear retired from teaching, and Webster will never be the same. The Bear epic will always live in all of our hearts. My association with Mrs. Bear has allowed me to experience the deep happiness, and at the same time, has strengthened me to deal with the depths of despair. Now, just a minute, I have an envelope here from Karnak. Is anyone familiar with the Karnak routine of Johnny Carson?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, sure. Where he'll tell you the answer to the question, and then he'll read out the question. And I'm getting a message. The answer is ruthless people.
Yeah, blow on it.
Probably hasn't been a mayonnaise jar on Pumpkin Wagon.
The question is, what kind of people would we all be if we had never worked with and learned from Ruth Bair?
Yeah.
Oh, Marty, that was great. Marty is,
That was good, Marty.
beautiful. Marty is the hotel.
Remember when Tim stole the park bench and the signs?
Tim?
You?
No.
Tim Finch.
Oh.
No.
I've never been arrested.
That was Bill Finch.
Bill
Bill
Finch.
Finch.
Bill Finch.
I think it was Bill Finch.
No, Tim was at
it's
the
Tim.
Tuesday.
He
Yeah,
was
it
in
was
that
Tim.
one. Yeah.
He did.
You know the name of that?
There were some kids that stole a Christmas tree too and brought it to class. And I was so thrilled with this beautiful tree.
Wasn't the name?
Remember that? I can't remember who did that.
I think probably
So, I mean,
wise not to come.
you people have made my life, believe me. And I have so many warm thoughts, and then I think that's what keeps me going. And I don't think that I'll ever quite go over the hill because of all you and the marvelous work you've done and the marvelous part of my life that you've been. And I can't thank you enough. With all my love, thank you.
Thank you. This gray hair's from Frank. And this
One of the things that I'll always remember is that in my years of working with Ruthie, they were all pleasurable, every single one of them. In fact, the years that I was working with Ruth were the highlight of my entire life, not just my career, but my life. And the interesting thing about it was that the many things that happened down in the stage area, in the music area, were fine, except that Ruthie went back to her area of the school, and I was stuck with what happened down at that area, because that's where I was. But I'll never forget one particular incident, and you know what, it came to me as the people were talking tonight. I think the play we were trying to recall was the 10 Nights in a Barroom.
Oh, that's it, I'm pretty
think.
sure. Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but at some point during the scene, someone looked out a stage window, stage right, and a cannon was supposed to go off. Okay? I can't remember what the part of the scene was, but this explosion was, which simulated a cannon, was supposed to occur. The first night, I can remember being backstage, Ruth was saying, "What the hell was that? It sounded like a pop gun." I want something that sounds like a cannon. Okay? Now, I think Boniface was in on this. But I also think that maybe John Wood, Rick Mayhew, and maybe Carl Bertner, but I'm not sure, were in on it. There was a bigger explosion. That's much better. But it didn't raise the people out of their seats. And again, backstage, Ruthie was heard to say, "What the hell can't you guys do? I want to hear something that sounds like a cannon."
No problem.
Night 3. I was in the audience, my wife Joyce was in the audience, and whatever the hell it was went off. It raised us right out of the seat. Everybody in the audience.
It was good.
Ruthie had scored. Whatever it was, but it turned out to be an M16 rifle that was fired off through the fly area. And for the next 2 years, I had various people from the Board of Education and administration coming down and saying, "I understand there's a hole in the roof." The hole was there for 2 years before it finally got out.
Come through and see this guy. Do you remember who did that?
They're not going to say.
Rick isn't walking.
The statute of limitations is up.
That's right, it's been 15 years now.
I can't remember who did it.
Is it? Yes.
At least.
What's their name?
I think it's post-Boniface.
Yeah, it was.
Can't blame him.
There when we got there. I think Rick.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, it was that same year, about that same year.
George Emmett was a cannon on stage.
Yeah.
No. It wasn't during George Emmett. It was another. It was a non-musical production.
Yeah, it was a smaller.
It was a smaller production. 10 Nights in a Barroom for some reason.
That wasn't our time period.
Yeah, that wasn't us.
I don't recall that. It was after John.
I don't
Can't blame
either.
John.
It was there. It was there.
Yeah, it was
George
after.
Emmett.
No, that was after John. John was.
That must have been.
Marsha and Alan.
All right, what scene would have called for a cannon outside of
You know
a
the
window? I don't remember what the stage.
Rainmaker?
I'm not sure.
It was Cannon and George M. wasn't it?
Yeah, there's Cannon.
Yeah, but not like that one. No, that didn't have, that did not have it. I think it was after George M.
I remember the incident in the hole in the roof. But I can't remember the production.
I can't either.
But I remember that we needed it. It was very, very feeble.
Water like that?
Huh?
Because I don't remember that incident.
I remember the feeble top and that we needed to have something stronger, and I remember we did get it. It was great.
The show didn't run too long though, right?
It didn't run very long, no.
Gray hairs on Oscar's.
Poor Oscar.
All these things you're telling is one reason why my career was shortened.
I've got to tell one other thing that I'll always remember this group for. This is a classic. I remember being very closely associated with Oscar because I was closest to his office. Ruthie, bless her heart, she was far down at the other end of the building, so she didn't get half of the stuff that I got.
Sanctuary.
Right. Anyway, one day Oscar called me into the office, and gentlemen in this assemblage, like for instance maybe Rick Mayhewson and Carl Verdner and John Wood, would appreciate this, and Craig Rutenberg, as a matter of fact, would appreciate this particular situation. But Oscar called me into the office and he said, Bill, he said, there are a hell of a lot of students around this building that have Grand Masters of this building. I said, Oscar, what are you talking about? I don't know this. Oh, come on, don't be that. I know what you're talking about. He said, I'm giving you an order. Before the day's over, by 3:30 today, I want you to turn all the Grand Masters you locate. Okay? So I said, is that my order for the day? He says, that's your order and you better deliver. He says, okay, Chief, I'll see what I can do. So by 3:30 that afternoon, I turned in a modest 17 Grand Masters.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
He said, is this it? I said, I don't think so.
Craig remembers.
As fast as he changed the locks of the building, they'd have a new key.
Yeah, no,
The
really.
next day, they'd have a new key.
They'd have a new backup, right? It made no difference.
We all got presented with, we still have ours.
I've still got mine.
The answer key, John gave
I don't know
it to
if
us
it works. I haven't used it.
Who gave John who gave Oscar the
Well, that was Boniface. That was his gift from the. Yeah, you guys were all involved with that.
and
one.
the combination of the school vault.
There was. This had to be the classic. This had to be the classic or the classic presentation of Oscar Kaji. There was a walnut plaque, two things on it. One was a cast in gold Grandmaster key, and underneath it was the combination to the Grand Vault. This was presented to him as a gift from the senior class.
That's why he had to retire early.
Isn't it though?
Oh yeah, yeah.
One time, Peter Price, I don't know whether it was before your time, Peter Price was head of the English department. Does anybody remember Peter Price?
Yes.
At one of our thespian meetings, he got up and said, I want you people to know that you and your leader are a little left of center. But, he said, this is a compliment because you people are going to get the most out of life.
Right.
He said he was also concerned that he first thought he was being invited to the lesbian.
That's I guess how come everybody used to call us the lesbians.
Actually, I have a couple things I want to tell you because I hate coming to Rochester in the middle of winter.
Yeah.
I want you to know that. Absolutely hate it.
We kept the weather nice for you.
Yeah.
No, actually, yeah, it's better here than it is in LA right now. But I really want to tell you that if people ask me what what the highlight of my life has been, it was those years doing those productions. And I also want to tell a lot of things. I have a lot of memories. I can't possibly go over all of them that that have filtered through my mind in the months since we've talked about this thing. But I remember distinctly you producing productions where you made people cry, you made people laugh, you made people think.
We made ourselves cry once in a while.
You made people come back again. You made people say, gee, this is a better production than the one I saw on Broadway. And I remember you taking a bunch of kids, and rather than hanging around smoking dope or doing this or that and so forth, you took a bunch of people and you made them work terribly hard, show talents, some of them demonstrated talents they never thought they had, develop interests, new interests, and go on, really make a contribution. I think you did teach us to work hard and discipline. I think probably all of us have learned that.
You made your contribution. You did work hard, harder than. Remember, who's the boy that shot the basket? Kurt Chute?
Yeah.
Kurt Chute was in JV, and then he came and helped change, dress himself. And he said, I've never worked as hard in an athletic activity. And I said, yeah. I said, that's what makes these kids so great, because they work. And he said, boy, I know it. He said. And then at the end, he came up and said, thank you. I'm so proud to have been associated with these kids. And that was after JB.
But in addition to that, you also taught us something very important about theater. I know Frank has taken a lot of stuff in, but when I go to see theater, I go to just have an experience that touches me. Something that's just kind of flaky, and so forth. I expect to be moved because that's what I learned, and that's and again, getting that interior experience that we taught all of us as actors. I mean, I'm amazed at what the technical people. I wish some more of them were here tonight because they pulled off some real miracles that I. But you pulled off, you called forth a lot of stuff from inside of us that were on stage, and as Frank said, the audience couldn't have felt it if we didn't feel it, and you drummed that into us all the time. And that's why our productions, I would see our productions being superior than many professional productions and college productions I've seen over the years, because the feeling is always there, and that's what you always put in.
And I have a little memory for you too. Do you remember your walk across the stage in Carousel and everybody said, did you get an older man from the community?
There's another half of that story. I didn't have, there was, that was the all-night cast party at Broyku's.
Yeah. Breakfast at Bezob's and
Wildcat.
Anyway, the next one, I had that great stuff in my hair.
I did get the two girls back. But in the morning, they were crawling along the ledge. I woke up with some blood. They were out crawling along the ledge going toward the boys. Oh.
7 stories up.
7 stories.
There they were. Ray. Frank did do his audition and he passed it and was accepted. And then we had a terrible ride home through the mountains and then my car kept stalling, but we made it. As Frank said, you keep on going.
I've had difficulties since high school days, and it's taken a long time, but someone finally figured out that I'm a little bit of a manic depressive. And happens to be that the psychiatrist asked me, well, when did this all start? And I said, well, I think it was in high school when I was getting Bubbles Hamlet's awards for my unique talents in turning minor roles into leads. I also, it's funny when you're in high school, I see young people, you're cocky, you're self-confident, you have a lot of expectations, and we have a lot of dreams. Sometimes some of them come true, some don't. And lives take, you know, strange paths. But I want to tell you that this group has been very meaningful to me because I have a couple friendships here that are lifelong. They're always going to last, and those bonds were formed in that group. And I want to tell you that I have mellowed out after 15 years.
Speaking of influences.
Yes, I want to tell Frank Aloja that I have forgiven him for getting those parts I always wanted.
You did land some leads, though, don't forget.
And thanks to Kathy and Deb for organizing.
And her business acumen during the days of our productions. I don't know what I'd have done without her. And also many times she'd come sit in the back row with me so that I wouldn't fall completely apart. And not long ago, well, these little kids that, you know, we just did, you know, the Charlie Brown thing, and they said, oh, there are going to be people sitting right there. And I said, yes, you're going to be coming down through them, and you might step on somebody's toe, but don't worry about it. And we threw baseballs back and forth, and we had a plastic one in case it hit somebody, which it did. They wouldn't get hurt. And I said, that's called audience participation. And I said, we had a little theater at the school where I used to be. And I said, one time we did a play called JB, and some of the people had to come out crawling on their hands and knees. And I said, they crawled right over the feet of the audience. They could feel the feet of the audience as they crawled along. They went, oh, wow. But they got through it too. And they loved it, you know, and they felt a part of the audience, and the audience felt a part of them. And I said, see? You remember that? You weren't one of the crawlers, but no, you guys all were pretty close, you know.
I remember doing a lot of crawling.
Yes, you did. I remember crawl birds all over.
I just sat up on top and watched the whole thing. I think one of the things that I really remember most and has stayed with me is working with you. You gave us an opportunity to imagine something from a technical standpoint, because I never had the courage to get out on stage. If we needed something, if it was a carousel that we could break down and carry to Rush Henrietta or wherever, whatever we could imagine, you gave us the strength to say, well, if we can imagine it, we can build it. We can do whatever we need to do. If we need to put Ed 10 feet off the floor for 3 or 2 hours, we can do it. We created that theater.
Putting Ed up there on the trapeze and a stolen telephone pole. And the carousel that came apart.
Oh, yes.
You and Paul Dennis.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Terrific. And I always say, and I told these kids too, my little new kids, that the crew and the cast make the whole that neither one can get along without the other one. It's half and half, a big unified whole. And it always was. And you guys, whenever you saw holes in the floor, you'd be sure that the kids that would climb up wouldn't be in danger of falling down. So, you know, it was good.
You talked about all the work and stuff, and I can honestly say I cannot ever remember it being work. It was always so much fun, even in the tough times, even with pants falling down. Even with, and I'll never forget the first time. It was in Guys and Dolls, and you and I and Art DiStefano, Fugue for Tin Horns.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget, that was the first number, and standing backstage scared to death, and walked out and opened our mouths, and to me it all went away. All the fear went away. I never had such fun in my life.
I know, that was a great first number. That whole thing was great too. The whole, I have never seen a Guys and Dolls that I've enjoyed as much as the ones that you guys did.
I've never seen a set design that was as interesting as those little very active.
Oh, they were great.
That just worked so well for that.
Those two triangular structures really well.
Was that Paul Dennis?
And Guys and Dolls.
Yeah.
Was it Guys and Dolls set?
Yeah,
No, there
Guys and
was,
Dolls.
Yeah, the Guys and Dolls.
But I don't know
Paul
who designed
Dennis.
it, but
It wasn't Paul, it was Reese. Peter Reese.
Oh,
Peter Reese.
Yes.
I remember for the underground scene, those pipes that we were all playing on, that set that he had painted for the back was wonderful.
And then you had to climb up one side and then pretend you were coming down.
What about Big Bad Roger McGrin, who was
Big Julie.
Big Julie. There's a guy you would never have imagined, but you talked him into it. You got him on that stage.
And he was good.
Oh, he was magnificent. He loved Rita Morris.
Yeah, he loved it. Red Fox was another one.
Yeah.
Harvey DeVere.
That's right.
I think the classic line that I remember and will always remember as long as I live occurred in Carousel when Frank LaLoggia as what was his stage name? As Jigger. The line that he delivered was, "My mother had a baby once." Remember that?
Yes.
Remember that?
I
Brought
just
down
told
the
him the
house,
same
Billy.
thing.
It brought down the house.
I saw that not
brought
long
down the
ago,
house.
and I was talking to Frank on the phone and told him that. So
I'll never forget
he
that.
said the line over the phone.
I'll never forget it.
Say it for us.
Like Jigger did. Remember? Gee. Remember the scene?
We're gonna get her for this. My mother had a baby once.
So tell us about it. He wasn't
Sitting here. And I think having, a lot of us, I know we have children now, and that we really hope that sometime in their growing up through school, that they have a teacher like you.
Oh, thank you. I'm so happy that I met up with you in my life, believe me.
I think there's one song out of all the shows that really sums it up for all of us here. And that's from Carousel. It's called You'll Never Walk Alone. If you think of the lyrics, you think of the show, you think of Ruthie, you think of Bill, and everybody here. And no matter how down you are or how bad life is, think of that song, because you always make it through.
you know, Judy, when you said that, I thought you were about to say this was a real nice clam bake.
Hey, at least it's not Judy's busting out all over.
Terrific. Oh, that's why it was always fun to work with you guys. One could never be shocked.
That's for sure. We didn't try.
You just never knew, but it was fun.
You never knew what was going to happen.
What was the airplane hangar?
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure most kids going through high school really never had an opportunity like we had. I mean, so many things we've talked about, but I haven't talked to too many kids who had a place where they could go before classes. I mean, it was like being more on a college campus setting where the coffee pot was there, ready to go.
I loved it. They cleaned us out after a while. We had a few times. Ed Austin came from in the morning. There'd be Ed and Martilla hanging from the pipes.
That was when we weren't in the storeroom cooking on the little
And
grill that
selling
we
things.
brought in. Now,
But since the black theater's come up, I stuck with theater a little bit through college, and so I knew a lot of people who came out of high school and into college, and I can't think of anybody who, coming out of high school had ever worked in a situation other than a proscenium stage. And just in that I went into a school where they had a black theater, it was a big advantage, I think, and unique. So that's something else you can be complimented for.
Well, what was the show? Remember Jet was in that, what was the show he was in, and he busted his leg up?
That
was JB.
That was JB. Who as the influence? They were jumping from a cliff or something.
Yeah, I remember behind his house.
No, we were just doing it for fun.
No, but tell us the whole story. No.
I told him he had to go on without his crutch, and he better do a darn good job. And he did.
He did.
He did. He did.
Oh, he was so loaded. I was. He was so loaded with Darvon.
Oh God.
But I was lying there on the, playing JB, and they're talking to me, and this guy is giving delivery, the likes of which I have never seen, and I was like, I'm like blown away.
And I was sitting up on that perch like this, going, "Come on, Jet, you can do it." One more line. That's all you need.
Come on,
That was. Then he hobbled off stage, and that was the end of that.
And people couldn't understand why he's walking back.
When he came out on crutches for the call.
Yes.
Yeah. Now he didn't break anything. He sprained all the muscles in his feet, but he didn't break anything.
Well, you got to suffer a little too in order to.
But of course, from the same show as I used to get a lot of complaints. You're doing a good job suffering, but you don't suffer too much during this. But one night I came out and I tripped over getting onto that set, and what happens is that I tried to ease myself without making a bang, because it's in the darkness before the lights come on. Boniface is very good at timing. Gives you 3 seconds and that's it. And suddenly I was barefoot and I had a severe cramp in my foot, and I'm pulling my toe back, holding my foot to try to release the cramp, because I had lines coming up in about 15 seconds. And people said to me, "Gee, we never saw you ever do that in rehearsal." It looked great, but we
Right into what was going on, right?
This is a little away from our group, but it involves JB and Frank, because Frank, Mr. Zakari, I don't know if anyway, he talked Frank into doing some of the JB stuff in tournament, in competition. And I don't know if it was the first time you did it or not, right?
This was debate.
Yeah, but it was for like the States or something.
Yeah.
And Frank got so into character that his fingernails actually bit into the palm of his hand, so that when he opened up his hand, he was bleeding. And the judge knocked him down, because you're not supposed to use props.
It was amazing. He said that kid was great, and how dare he use, a blood pellet. That's what he told Zakari.
Did you show him?
Well, I didn't even know it was happening when it was happening. I just felt something sticky on my hand. I was going through the whole thing. And by the time it was over, I opened my hand, it was covered with blood. And he disqualified me.
While you were doing what
That was the last time I ever did dramatic interp. I'm going right back to your room and say, never again will I stray.
Frank, do you remember doing the Evan Costello, who's on first routine in about maybe 5th grade?
Songs.
Illustrious.
I remember junior high school.
Junior high school.
There was
Scott
something
Cornelius.
private in the Army.
Yeah, Scott Cornelius.
Was it Scott Cornelius?
Yep. That was before.
Is out at the gym floor.
That's right.
The old Spry Junior High School.
That's right. That was before Ruthie.
That was before Ruthie.
That's where we met you.
That's when I first met you guys.
That was when I could also hang for the longest at 90 degrees from the bar.
Yeah.
They gave me Best Physical Fitness Student of the Year.
I heard about you before you came over. People were coming in and saying, "Wait until Frank Ologia comes over here. Just wait." So he came into my room one day and he was quite quiet. And he introduced himself and he said, "I want to try out for your plays." And I thought, oh boy, another one. But when he got up there, does anybody remember? the tryout. I gave an improv that he had a girlfriend who had was in charge of a little bar, and people came in and were doing, I know there was some upset and the cops had come in and he was going to try to help her. Do you remember that? And Frank did such a good job that people were coming up who were watching, you know, from down in the auditorium to be part of it. They got all involved in it. And the first thing he did was to turn Heidi upside down.